Okay, so today we're going to talk about the gait cycle for running. When we talk about walking and running, we use quite specific terms to describe the different points of the cycle. So today we're going to simplify this right down, introduce the terms and get familiar with the common language that we use. So when we run, each leg goes through a stance phase when the foot is in contact with the ground and a swing phase. Together these are one stride length, which is one gait cycle. In the picture, we have one gait cycle for the right leg, as we can see a stance phase and a swing phase for the right leg. The stance phase can further be broken down, and we'll go through this now, and we'll look at an example. First we have initial contact. This is when the foot first strikes the ground, as shown here with the blue arrow. This could be a heel strike, a mid-foot strike, or a forefoot strike, and where this occurs in relation to the body differs for endurance running, sprinting, and accelerating. Immediately following this is loading response, where the body controls the forces acting on it. Okay, so let's look at an example of Laura Moore in the final steps of her race. Here we can identify a right foot initial contact as the foot first strikes the ground. Next we have mid-stance, which occurs at 50% of the stance phase. At this point, the foot is directly below the centre of mass. The centre of mass is at its lowest, with the hip, knee and ankle in flexion, and the forces acting on the body are greatest. Up to this point is known as the braking phase, which can also be known as the shock absorption phase. From this point onwards, in the stance phase, we know this as the propulsive phase. In running, we want to limit the braking phase and maximise the propulsion phase. Looking at our example again, to look at mid-stance, we can see Laura reaching mid-stance with her foot under her centre of mass and hip, knee and ankle in a flexed position. The final part of the stance phase is toe-off, which is the point at which the foot leaves the ground. Again, looking at our example, we can see the final stage of stance phase with toe-off on Laura's right side. After toe-off, the leg enters the swing phase, which we can see here by the 3 arrows. Looking at our example one more time, we can now look at the swing phase as Laura finishes the race. Take a look at our example again and try and identify these points for yourself. So for stance phase, we have initial contact, loading response, mid-stance and toe-off, and then we also have the swing phase. Okay, so hopefully that gave you guys a good insight into the running cycle today, and you guys feel a little bit more comfortable and familiar with the common language that's used.